2026 is not a new year. It's a deadline on excuses, delays, and the version of you that keeps saying someday. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a simple truth that most people don't like to hear. You are not short on potential. You are short on urgency. 2026 is not coming to ask you for permission. It's not waiting for you to be ready. It's showing up with or without your growth. And the greatest tragedy of life is not failure. The greatest tragedy is wasted life, not ruined, not destroyed, just unused. Money can be replaced. Opportunities can be recreated. Mistakes can be corrected. But time only moves in one direction. Every hour you waste today is an hour you cannot invest tomorrow. And here's the danger. Time doesn't feel expensive until you're out of it. Most people treat time like it's unlimited. Then act surprised when life feels short. People don't wake up and say, today I'm going to waste my life. They just scroll, they just delay, they just stay comfortable a little longer. Comfort is seductive. Distraction is deadly. You don't fall off a cliff. You slowly drift away from your purpose. If you don't define your future, someone else will assign you one. Clarity is not knowing everything. Clarity is knowing the next right move. Who are you becoming in 2026? What standards will you live by? What will you no longer tolerate? Indecision is a decision, and it always costs you. Everyone has good intentions. Few have daily discipline. Discipline is doing what's required even when your emotions vote no. You don't need more motivation. You need stronger habits because feelings change, but systems compound. Your phone is teaching you something. Your friends are influencing you. Your conversations are shaping your confidence. Show me what you consume daily, and I'll show you who you'll be in a year. If your environment doesn't support your future, it will sabotage it. Life is not changed by one speech, one book, or one moment. Life is shaped by what you do repeatedly. Your future isn't decided by what you plan, it's decided by what you practice. So here's the real questio. And when 2026 ends, will you be proud of the person you became, or will you say, I had more in me? Don't waste your life waiting. Don't waste it scrolling. Don't waste it settling. Live deliberately. Choose intentionally. Act decisively. Because a wasted year becomes a wasted life. And a focused year can change everything. Time is the only currency you spend without ever seeing the balance. You wake up each day and the account is already ticking down. Whether you are intentional or careless, focused or distracted, you can earn more money after losing it. You can rebuild relationships. You can recover from mistakes. But time is the one asset that never asks for permission before it leaves. Once it's gone permanently. And no apology, no effort, no regret can bring it back. Most people don't respect time because it doesn't feel expensive in the moment. An hour feels small. A day feels harmless. A year feels distant. But time is deceptive like that. It charges you quietly. What looks like just one more day becomes a habit. What feels like I'll start later slowly turns into years of delay. And one day people look back and wonder where their life went, not realizing it was spent in tiny, unnoticed withdrawals. Every distraction is a transaction. Every delay is a purchase. You are buying something with your time, whether it's growth or comfort, progress or escape. The problem is not that people waste time intentionally. The problem is that they spend it unconsciously. They give prime years to things that don't multiply, don't build, don't matter long term. And by the time they realize the cost, the receipt is their current reality. Time does not reward intention, it rewards alignment. You don't get credit for what you meant to do. You get results from what you consistently did. Time magnifies patterns. Whatever you repeatedly do, time will eventually make visible. If you invest time in learning, it compounds into wisdom. If you invest time in discipline, it compounds into freedom. But if you invest time in avoidance, excuses, and distraction, time will compound that too into regret. The most dangerous lie people believe is that they have plenty of time. That lie kills urgency. It delays decisions. It convinces people to tolerate situations they should change and postpone actions they should take now. Time does not announce when it is about to become scarce. It doesn't warn you when a season is ending. It simply moves forward indifferent to your readiness. Successful people don't have more time than anyone else. They simply assign it more value. They treat time like capital. They budget it, they protect it, they invest it where it produces long-term returns. They understand that where time goes, life follows. That's why they are intentional about what they say yes to and ruthless about what they say no to, not because they are busy, but because they are clear. If you truly understood the value of time, your standards would rise. You would be more selective with your commitments. You would stop negotiating with distractions. You would stop postponing growth. You would realize that every day is either preparing you for the future or quietly stealing from it. Time doesn't need your belief to work. It doesn't need your permission to pass. It only responds to how you use it. In the end, your life will not be measured by how busy you were, but by how intentionally you lived. Time will tell the truth about what mattered to you, because you spent your most limited resource on it. And the question is not whether time is passing. The question is whether, when it's gone, you'll be proud of what you invested it in. Most lives are not destroyed in a single dramatic moment. They are slowly traded away in small, almost invisible decisions made every day. People imagine failure as something loud and obvious, a kernel, lapse, a scandal, a sudden loss. But in reality, life is usually lost quietly. It slips away through routines that feel normal, choices that feel harmless, and delays that feel justified. No alarms go off, no one warns you, and that's what makes it so dangerous. Default living happens when you stop choosing and start drifting. When you wake up and repeat yesterday without questioning whether it is still serves your future. When you accept circumstances not because they are right, but because they are familiar. Most people don't choose a life they don't want. They simply never interrupt the one they've settled into. Comfort becomes the cage and routine becomes the lock. Disaster at least forces a response. Pain demands attention. Crisis creates urgency. But default living is silent. It convinces you that tomorrow will be different without requiring anything from you today. It whispers that you still have time, that this phase will pass, that one day you'll make the change. And years go by while life remains on pause. The real loss doesn't come from making a wrong decision. It comes from avoiding decisions altogether. Indecision feels safe because it postpones risk, but it also postpones one's progress. While you're waiting to feel ready, time is moving forward without you. Opportunities don't disappear loudly, they expire quietly. And when you finally look up, you realize the window didn't close suddenly. It closed slowly, one day at a time. Default living also feeds on distraction. Endless content, constant noise, and easy entertainment numb awareness. They keep people busy and noog to avoid reflection, but not productive enough to create change. People confuse movement with progress and activity with achievement. They stay occupied but unfulfilled, exhausted but unchanged. Life feels full yet empty at the same time. What makes this even more tragic is that most people sense it. Deep down, they know they're capable of more. They feel the tension between who they are and what they could become. But instead of confronting it, they normalize it. They lower expectations. They call survival success. And over time, they forget that dissatisfaction was ever a signal to grow. Living by default also means allowing other people's expectations to shape your life. You follow paths because they're approved, not because they're aligned. You chase stability instead of purpose. You measure success by comparison instead of conviction. And slowly, you wake up in a life that looks acceptable on the outside but feels empty on the inside. The tragedy is not that people fail, it's that they never fully try. They never fully commit. They never fully step into the responsibility of designing their life. They wait for motivation, permission, or perfect conditions, but life doesn't reward waiting, it responds to action. Breaking out of default living requires interruption, a decision to stop drifting, a willingness to be uncomfortable. It means choosing intention over ease and growth over familiarity. Because the truth is simple and uncomfortable. If you don't deliberately choose your direction, life will choose it for you. And default choices always lead to default results. In the end, life isn't lost because of disaster. It's lost because of neglect. And neglect is not dramatic. It's daily, The moment you stop living by default and start living by design is the moment your life actually begins. Clarity is the starting point of momentum. Nothing meaningful moves forward until something is clearly decided. When your direction is clear, your energy becomes focused. Why? Actions become aligned and your confidence increases. Not because the path is easy, but because it is defined. Power does not come from knowing everything. It comes from knowing what matters now and acting on it without hesitation. Confusion, on the other hand, is expensive. It drains energy, creates hesitation, and turns simple decisions into heavy burdens. When you don't know where your G is going, every option feels overwhelming. You spend more time thinking than doing, more time planning than executing. Days fill up, but progress stays minimal. Confusion doesn't just slow you down. It quietly convinces you that delay is reasonable. Most people are not confused because they lack information. They are confused because they avoid commitment. Clarity requires responsibility. Once you ID who you are becoming, you can no longer hide behind excuses. You can no longer blame circumstances or wait for permission. Confusion feels safer because it allows you to postpone accountability while appearing thoughtful. But clarity demands action, and action exposes effort. When clarity is absent, distraction feels attractive. You chase multiple directions, start what you don't finish, and react instead of lead. Your attention gets divided, and divided attention produces diluted results. You're busy, but not effective. You're moving, but not advancing. Confusion creates the illusion of progress while quietly maintaining the status quo. Clarity simplifies life. It sharpens decision-making. When you know your priorities, saying no becomes easier than saying yes. You stop negotiating with distractions. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't need to understand your path. Clear direction acts like a filter. It removes what doesn't belong and strengthens what does. The clearer you are, the less mental weight you carry. Power grows when your actions match your identity. Once you decide who you are and what you stand for, consistency becomes natural. You no longer rely on motivation because clarity fuels discipline. You don't need constant reassurance because direction creates confidence. Even setbacks feel different when clarity is present. They become feedback, not failure. Confusion, however, stretches time. It makes goals feel distant and success feel abstract. You keep waiting for clarity to appear, not realizing clarity is created through decision, not aired through waiting. The longer you delay choosing, the harder it becomes to move, because hesitation compounds, delay becomes a habit, and habits shape outcomes. Clarity does not mean certainty. You can be clear and still be afraid. You can be clear and still be learning. What matters is that you decide to move forward instead of standing still. Progress corrects itself, but stagnation never do. Action sharpens clarity. Movement reveals answers. Waiting only deepens confusion. In the end, your future is not shaped by what you consider, but by what you commit to. Clarity creates power because it turns thought into direction and intention into execution. Confusion creates delay because it disguises fear as caution and indecision as intelligence. The moment you choose clarity is the mom, and life starts responding to you instead of passing you by. Discipline is what gives your intentions weight. Everyone has good ideas. Everyone has plans, dreams, and goals they talk about. Intention is easy because it lives in the mind, where there is no resistance. Impact, however, lives in the real world, where effort is required, discomfort is unavoidable, and consistency is tested. Discipline is the bridge that connects what you want with what you actually produce. Without discipline, intention remains theory. You can want change deeply and still never experience it. You can believe in your potential and still live far below it. Discipline is what turns belief into behavior. It is choosing to act even when your emotions are tired, distracted, or uninterested. It is doing what needs to be done without negotiating with how you feel about it. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes based on mood, environment, and circumstance. Discipline does not depend on how you feel. It depends on what you've decided. When discipline is present, progress continues even on difficult days. When it's absent, progress stops the moment enthusiasm fades. That's why so many people start strong and finish nowhere. They rely on motivation to carry what only discipline can sustain. Discipline creates structure, and structure creates freedom. At first, discipline feels restrictive because it requires boundaries, waking up on time, saying no, sticking to commitments. But over time, those boundaries produce results, and results create options. The disciplined person gains control over their their skills, and their direction. The undisciplined person feels free in the moment, but trapped in the long term, limited by unfinished work and unrealized potential. Discipline also protects you from self-sabotage. It removes decision fatigue by turning important actions into habits. When something becomes a standard instead of a choice, excuses lose their power. You stop debating whether to do the work and simply do it. That consistency compounds, and over time, small disciplined actions create massive impact. Most people overestimate what intention can do and underestimate what discipline can build. Intention sets the direction, but discipline moves you forward inch by inch. Impact is rarely the result of one massive effort. It's the outcome of repeated, disciplined actions that no one applauds in the beginning. Discipline keeps you working when results are invisible and progress feels slow. Discipline also builds identity. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. You begin to trust yourself. That trust becomes strength. You no longer depend on external validation because your self-respect is rooted in follow-through. Discipline teaches you that you are capable of doing hard things, and that belief changes how you approach everything else in life. There is no shortcut around discipline. Talent without discipline fades. Knowledge without discipline stays unused. Opportunity without discipline expires. Discipline is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It is the quiet force that turns ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. In the end, your life is not shaped by what you intend to do someday, but by what you discipline yourself to do daily. Impact lives on the other side of consistency. And discipline is the bridge you must cross again and again if you want your intentions to become reality. Your environment is shaping you, whether you are aware of it or not. Every day, without asking for permission, it influences how you think, what you believe is possible, and how you behave. The places you spend time, the people you interact with, the content you consume, and the standards you tolerate are all quietly writing code into your habits. Over time, that code becomes your lifestyle and eventually your identity. Most people think they're in control of their choices, but they underestimate how much those choices are guided by what surrounds them. You speak differently depending on who you're around. You think differently based on what you repeatedly hear. You act differently when certain behaviors are normalized. Environment doesn't force you, it nudges you. And those nudges, repeated daily, are powerful enough to change the direction of your life. The most influential part of your environment today is not physical, it's mental. What you watch, scroll through, listen to, and absorb sets the tone for your inner dialogue. Constant exposure to negativity breeds doubt. Endless entertainment weakens focus. Repeated comparison steals confidence. You may not notice it immediately, but over time, your ambition softens and your standards lower. You don't quit. You slowly stop expecting more from yourself. People also play a critical role in programming your future. Conversations shape beliefs. Expectations shape behavior. If the people around you normalize excuses, comfort, and mediocrity, you will unconsciously adopt those patterns. Not because you want to, but because humans adapt to survive socially. We tend to match the energy, habits, and vision of those closest to us. That's why environments seed and either stretch you or shrink you without you realizing it. What you tolerate becomes your baseline. If chaos, distraction, and underperformance are allowed to exist in your environment, they will eventually feel normal. Standards don't collapse overnight, they erode gradually. You stop noticing what once bothered you. You stop challenging what once felt unacceptable. And before you know it, you're living far below your capability. Not because you chose to, but because your environment trained you to. A strong environment doesn't eliminate struggle. It supports growth. It reinforces discipline instead of fighting it. It makes the right choices easier and the wrong choices less attractive. When your environment aligns with your goals, progress accelerates naturally. When it doesn't even, simple goals feel heavy and exhausting. Changing your life often starts with changing what surrounds you. That might mean altering your routines, limiting exposure to distractions, curating what you consume, or distancing yourself from influences that drain your momentum. This isn't about arrogance or isolation. It's about intentional design. You protect what matters because you understand what's at stake. The truth is, willpower alone is not enough. Willpower is limited, but environment is constant. If your surroundings demand discipline, growth becomes normal. If they reward comfort, stagnation becomes familiar. Over time, environment wins. In the end, your future is being programmed daily, line by line, moment by moment. The question is not whether you are being influenced. The questio is whether you are designing that influence or letting it happen by default. When you take control of your environment, you take control of the direction your life is headed. Legacy is rarely created in dramatic moments that everyone can see. It is built quietly through ordinary decisions made consistently over time. People often believe their legacy will be defined by one breakthrough, one achievement, or one defining event. In reality, those moments are simply the visible results of years of invisible choices. What you do daily is far more powerful than what you do occasionally. Every day, you are casting votes for the person you are becoming. Small decisions, how you treat people, how you use your time, how you respond under pressure, may seem insignificant on their own, but together, they shape your character. And character is what outlives talent, success, and recognition. Long after big moments are forgotten, the impact of who you were consistently remains. Big moments get attention, but daily decisions create direction. A single speech may inspire, but daily discipline transforms. A single win may impress, but daily integrity builds trust. People remember how you showed up repeatedly, not just how you performed once. Legacy is not built by intensity, it is built by consistency. Most people overestimate the power of one-time actions and underestimate the power of repetition. They wait for the perfect opportunity to do something meaningful while overlooking the daily responsibilities right in front of them. But legacy is not postponed until later. It is formed now. How you handle today sets the tone for tomorrow. What you tolerate today becomes the standard for the future. Daily decisions also reveal what truly matters to you. Your calendar tells the truth. Your habits tell the truth. Your follow-through tells the truth. Legacy is not what you say is important. It is what you consistently give your time and energy to. Over time, those choices tell a story, and that story becomes how you are remembered. The most powerful legacies are built quietly by people who kept their word when it was inconvenient, who showed up when no one was watching, who chose discipline over comfort and responsibility over excuses. These decisions don't make headlines, but they shape lives. They influence families, teams, and communities in ways that ripple far beyond a single moment. Daily decisions also compound. A small positive choice repeated over years creates exponential impact. Likewise, small compromises repeated daily erode trust, character, and credibility. No one suddenly ruins their legacy in one day. It happens gradually, through repeated neglect of the small things. What you repeatedly ignore eventually defines you just as much as what you consistently pursue. Legacy is not about perfection. It's about direction. Everyone stumbles. Everyone makes mistakes. But the willingness to course correct daily, to recommit to values, and to grow through discipline is what builds a legacy worth leaving. People don't expect flawlessness. They remember faithfulness. In the end, legacy is not something you leave behind someday. It is something you are building right now in how you live, decide, and show up each day. Big moments may highlight your life, but daily decisions define it. And when time has passed, it won't be the single moments that speak the loudest. It will be the pattern of who you chose to be day after day. As we step into 2026, understand this clearly. The year itself will not change your life. Your decisions will. Time will keep moving. Days will keep passing. The only question is whether you will move with intention or drift by default. You now know this. Life is not wasted in one moment. It's lost in small choices. Clarity gives you direction. Discipline gives you momentum. Your environment shapes your behavior, and legacy is built quietly through what you choose to do every single day. So don't wait for a perfect moment. Decide. Don't rely on motivation. Commit. Don't leave your life to chance. Design it. Let 2026 be the year you stop postponing the person you know you're capable of becoming. Raise your standards. Protect your time. Choose discipline over comfort and purpose over convenience, because one focus year can change the trajectory of a lifetime. And the greatest mistake you can make in 2026 is not failure. It's staying the same. Don't waste your life. Live it on purpose.